Welcome to Pages from the Dark Side, the monthly book club podcast with a specialization in spooky. I am your host, Dylan Ludwig, aka Mr. Hyperware, and with me, as always, is my lovely wife, co-host, mother of my children,
Alyssa Ludwig, also known as the Earbud Bookworm.
And today we are here to talk about what kind of mother? What kind of mother?
What kind of mother?
What kind of mother? By Clay McLeod Chapman? McLeod Chapman. Clay McLeod Chapman.
Yes.
So this was intended to be our Mother's Day month episode. And then as things happened, we had to take priority over school. And that.
Yep.
So we were not able to get this out at the original scheduled time. But
it's still May.
It's still May.
It's still Mother's Day month, so we're counting it. It counts. It's fine. Everything's fine.
And we had, just to touch on this briefly, we did have a really good Mother's Day this year.
We did, for the most part, except I got kicked in the face at one point. But other than that, it was great. We played around with the kids a lot.
It wouldn't be motherhood without that.
Exactly. It was par for the course.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So.
Yep.
No, we had a really fun time.
Yep. I got you a really nice gift as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I also want to
We had pizza,
and
it was great.
A couple days after that, we were able to watch Serial Mom, which you had never seen before.
I had not, and funny enough, you were disappointed that we didn't get to watch it on Mother's Day night, but then literally we watched it. We started it just before midnight on May 14th, and the movie starts on May 14th, and then it switches to May 15th, and sure enough, we watched it through to May 15th. So it turned out it was really cute. It was a cute thing, and that was a a movie, too.
It was a
fun.
serendipitous moment. I'm
was.
glad you liked that movie.
It was fun.
I really, really enjoy that film a lot.
Yeah.
So, this is a book that we actually read, last year, I think.
It was 2 years ago. Well, I don't know.
No, I think it was last year, because that's when I started actually, tracking the things that I was reading.
I'm pretty sure when I went back into it said 2023.
Oh, you know what? It may be 2023.
Yeah. Well, it was a year and a half ago, because it was, I know for sure I was listening to it when our washing machine was broken and we were having to go to the laundromat.
Yeah.
And that was, fall of 2023.
Yeah, I remember that.
About a year and a half ago.
So, this is my first Clay McLeod Chapman book that I've read. I know he's got a lot of other credits before this, mostly literary, but he did actually write, fun fact here, he did actually write the unproduced novel that ended up becoming the Henry Selick stop-motion movie, Wendell and Wild, that was on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he and Henry Selick co-wrote that for publishing, and then when that didn't happen, they were just like, we'll just turn it into a movie.
Okay.
And then Jordan Peele got behind it and produced it, and,
cool.
Now everybody thinks it's a Jordan Peele movie once that happens.
I mean,
That
once his name's on something.
I still need to show you that trailer for him, which is, it's aggravating when people are like, Jordan Peele's new football-themed horror movie. I'm like, this is some Steven Spielberg poltergeist shit all over again.
Oh my god.
So yeah, I read this back then, and
I actually read it first.
Yeah, you read it first, and you warned me of some stuff of it.
I did. I gave you some trigger warnings. And I will tell y'all, I did not know what I was getting into, because I tend to, unless I'm, oh wow. It is very late as we record this, and it has been a long day, so you'll excuse me.
We just fixed our sink.
Yeah, our kitchen sink was not working, and we spent all yesterday and today trying to get it fixed and eating in the family room because our kitchen is a mess and is the whole thing. So anyway, point being, when I read books, I do pretty much all of my reading on audiobook through Libby, and unless I have a direct... somebody tells me to read something. Unless somebody tells me to read something, or I'm taking something from a booktube channel that I watch or something, if I'm just scrolling through Libby and looking at things, I tend to look at the cover image and the title, and then that's pretty much it. Or, obviously right now I'm trying to make my way through Stephen King's bibliography. So obviously I know I'm looking for Stephen King books at that point. But if I'm just scrolling through, trying to find something random, I don't read the write-up. I don't read anything about it. I just go, oh, this looks interesting, and then I read it. And when I saw this cover and the title, I thought it was going to be like possibly a crime thriller or something. It is not. It kind of seems that way at the beginning, but it's not. So...
Yeah, this was a book that was already, like, you had recommended this to me to check out, and this was actually already kind of on my radar because I think Bloody Disgusting kind of did like an article about it, which was like, books to look forward to throughout the year.
Yeah.
And he actually came out with a couple of things this year. I think that his most recent book is called Open Your Eyes and See or something like that. I can't remember the exact title. And is that in some short story collection that he published?
Okay, yeah.
So I need to like jump back into his work here.
Yeah, I think this is still the only one that I've read.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
He's had a lot of stuff up before this too. But I already was kind of going into this knowing that there was going to be some roughness to it, based on title, cover. I can kind of insinuate that there's going to be something that I'm very sensitive to in horror fiction, especially, which is violence towards children.
Right.
So I was pretty prepared for that. But before we dive into specifics of that, we should just run down what the plot of this is.
Yeah.
Do you want to do that, or do you want me to take
Sure,
the reins?
I'll take the reins, because usually I let you handle it. Yeah. But this one is one that I really liked, and now I've read it twice, kind of 3 times. No, it's the other one I've almost read 3 times. Anyway, so we're following... I didn't actually do the thing that you did to refresh my memory on character names.
Yeah, Maddie.
Is Maddie the main character?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we're following Maddie. She is living in a small town, and she is like doing her palm readings and tarot readings, and or does she just do palm? No, she does tarot.
She does palm, tarot, and I think she mentioned tea leaves as well.
Okay, yeah. I don't think that is a huge plot point, though.
No, it's not. It's like a whole, like, oh, I also do
right.
this.
And so she's like playing a part, basically, is what she talks about.
Yeah.
And so she is now living in the town that she had grown up in. She had moved away when she had gotten pregnant, and now her teenage daughter wants to have a relationship with her father, so they moved back. And she's at like this farmer's market type thing, doing her little palm readings and tarot readings and everything. And then this guy comes up that she had known when they were younger.
They dated like in high school.
Yeah,
briefly.
for like very briefly. And so the, town hens, or whatever you want to call them, start kind of like egging her on to give him a free reading and kind of like try to rekindle things or whatever. And as it turns out, he is looking for his son who's been missing.
Well, and it's been common knowledge that his son had been missing for a while. Like,
right,
it was
a town thing. It was a town thing.
But it made like big local news.
Right.
Yeah.
But he is now like back, like convinced that he's gonna find his son who's been missing since he was like 10 months old.
Yeah, and
so
it had been like 5 or 6 years since that initial incident.
Yeah, several years since it had happened, and now he's taking posters around with the baby picture on them, like missing, and so that's kind of about what we can tell without going into spoiler territory, I think.
Yeah, the town itself, Brandywine, I'm not sure if that's actually a real town, but
I have no idea.
It's important to note that it is a seaside town, and it's located near the Chesapeake Bay.
Yes. That is important.
Yeah,
Thank
which Chapman has very specifically made clear is an important element of the setting of the story.
Well, yeah, and I mean, it is.
A lot of their economy is based on tourism, which is where she gets most of her income for her palm readings, because as it is, she kind of lives out of this shitty motel space.
Right. Which
also doubles as her business.
And it's like... She makes a comment at one point about how they're not supposed to live there. They're not supposed to stay the night. And she's like, this is a motel. Like,
yeah.
But it's basically a business. It's a storefront. It's businesses at this point.
Yeah, like, it made me think about the time that we took a trip to South Carolina and we stayed at a Night's Inn, and there were a lot of people there that were clearly just living there.
Well, that's not even necessarily, like, it, from the way that she words it, it sounds like they're not even supposed to stay the night.
Right. But she has, like, some agreement with the owner, and they're just like, if you just keep business rolling in, then we're cool.
Right.
And then the rest of that economy is made up of fishermen, which is what Henry is like. He like shucks oysters. Yeah, he's an
oyster farmer.
Yeah. But he used to be a musician as well before that, so he's got that gentle soul to him.
Right.
And that plays a lot into a lot of his feelings of being a father. The book is really a story about this intersection of ideas of grief and parenthood.
Yeah.
And in this case, specifically motherhood. Even though, like, we're dealing with a father who is missing his child.
Right.
The emphasis is mostly on Maddie.
Right.
Because she is struggling to connect with her teenage daughter because she is she wants, even though, like, her father had walked out on them a long time ago, she is still adamant about trying to establish a relationship with him.
Right.
And that comes at the cost of an already kind of shaky relationship that she has with her mom.
Right. Well, and then also we do get to see Skylar is the missing child's name.
Yeah.
And we do get to see some build up around his mom too.
Yeah.
Who, as part of the whole him going missing thing, she was also found presumably to have killed herself.
Yeah.
And
which, for YouTube safety purposes, I have to give credit to the channel Dead Meat for finding a workaround. She Kermited sewer slide.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's...
They even made, like, a little animation of it, of Kermit the Frog going down a
sewer
slide.
That's
going
a lot. That's a lot. But anyway, so the book is told partially through Maddie's perspective and partially through Henry, right?
Yeah.
Through Henry basically, like, writing a story to Skylar.
Yeah.
And, like, explaining how Skylar came to be and all these things. So
yeah, the book those sections of the book kind of, in a weird way, they feel like more of a song than a story, and that part, like, in the sense of,
like, it's lyrical, kind of.
It's lyrical. It's a little bit more just kind of
stream of consciousness, almost.
A little stream of consciousness, but also just kind of trying to convey feeling over the exact details.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, that makes sense.
And then, like, when we're with Maddie, we're in the main story. We're
and it's things. Very, very...
It's no less surreal what happens later, but there's a little bit more of a tactileness to her side of it.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're gonna, before we go into the spoiler territory, let's just say what our general feelings were here. Because you really liked this one.
I did. I really, really liked this one. And I think before I even finished it, I had told you should read it with these caveats of be prepared for blank.
Yeah. Which is not always a deal breaker for me.
Right. And I mean, likewise, when you give me trigger and content warnings, it's not always a deal breaker, but it is nice to know going in.
Yeah, and that's that way with any medium, books, movies, anything like that. Even with those caveats going in, and even knowing that I, can largely handle material like that, I'm not, unfamiliar with that territory. I actually seek it out a lot of the time to be like, how deep does the rabbit hole go? I struggled with this one.
Yeah.
Both times.
Yeah.
I actually kind of had some problems with it.
Okay.
I do feel like there is a lot of repetition. involved with the writing style. Like
Okay.
like we made fun of at the beginning of video the video here, where they just keep going like, what kind of mother, what kind of mother, and like,
Right, yeah,
like
yeah,
if that's the title of the movie, they want to have that be the running
it's a
motif. Thank you. We just did a movie review last time.
We did.
That's a recurring motif of the book, and it's the title, and that's kind of the generalized question that they want to ask. But it's not just that. It's also, early on, there are these vision sequences that she is having of, like when she does the palm reading, all of a sudden she's having this dream or vision or of being out on, was it a lake or some kind of or river?
Just in the water.
Yeah, in the water, and supposedly seeing Skylar. That the first time it happened, I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting. But then it happened over and over again. Like, it happened 2 or 3 more times, and I'm just going,
yes, that's the plot.
But it doesn't feel like it escalates a whole lot.
Did we read the same book?
The only time it escalates is when there's these odd, like, animal attacks, like, early on. Like a jellyfish or a crab or bees.
I absolutely think that those were all important to the story.
I don't feel like it gets to that point until we get to the second half, which is where we get into the spoiler territory. Because then my other thing with the second half of the book, this might be odd considering that we are a horror book podcast, but I felt like the horror part of this book was the least interesting part, in my opinion.
Expand on that.
I found this kind of investigation of this character study between these two to be the more fascinating part of it, especially from her end, where she is coming at it from this angle of wanting to be a civilian that is trying to help solve an investigation. It reminded me of, the way that true crime podcasters go out of their way to try to be journalists to find out, to solve crimes when they're not actually qualified to do so.
Right.
And for her, she's also doubling down on that by, posing as a psychic, which she's very aware and very transparent. Like, okay, this is all bullshit. Like, this is smoke and mirrors. I don't actually believe in any of this.
Right.
And that becomes a problem when you are dealing with people who are really trying to hang on to hope any way that they can.
Right.
And Henry is one of these people. We already got a glimpse of that with one of these other customers that comes in and gets a palm reading and is encouraged to, like, leave her boyfriend.
Yeah.
Which, that ends up having disastrous results later. Those are the parts that I thought were interesting. I liked that. I liked the analysis on grief. I really liked when we go into Henry's story, especially the first time. Those chapters are heartbreaking.
Oh, absolutely.
And I won't say what they do because, again, that constitutes the spoiler territory. But once you get to the second half of the book and it gets more surreal and they start to introduce, like, body horror elements to it, I found myself at first intrigued, but then the way that character decisions and motivations kind of shift along with that, I found myself kind of more going, what the fuck? Like, why are they acting this way?
Again, did we read the same book?
Well,
no, okay. I feel like we need to go to spoiler territory because we need to discuss this. So before we go to spoilers, I highly recommend reading this book. If you've not read it, go read it and come back. Here are my caveats. There are some things that sensitive readers will have issues with, and the explanation of those may constitute spoilers. So I can put them in the description box, so you can go read what the content warnings are before you go read the book. Past that, if you enjoy horror books and this one specifically does deal with some body horror, as Dylan mentioned, then go read this book, and then come back and listen to the spoilers.
Yeah, I'm not saying not to read the book. I'm
No,
just
I know.
giving my take on it.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
do you want to...
No, I do recommend everybody, like, you know, don't always listen to me. Basically, like, you know, I don't hate the book at all. I actually, you know, like good chunks of it. I struggled with the overall cohesion of it, and we'll get into that. But I do recommend checking this one out for yourself, especially if you like body horror, if you like aquatic horror, which this does kind of dive into. If you,
dive into. Dive on in.
Dive on in. And if you like kind of surreal horror, this might be up your alley. And the thing is, like, there are a lot of other people in horror community, like, not just the horror book community, but horror community at large, that do actually really like this one. But, you know, I'm kind of mixed on it ultimately, and we'll go into that in a second here. So, if you haven't read the book, go read it now, and this is your last chance to... this is your last chance before we go into the spoiler territory. So, ready? 3, 2, 1. You gone?
Okay.
You gone. Okay.
So, what book did you read?
Oh my god. You need to specify your question better.
So my question is this. You have an issue with the character choices later in the book.
Yeah.
Okay. So, if you're still here, then you either have read the book and understand what's going on, or you're okay with spoilers. So, they created Skylar. This version of Skylar. They created him with their own thoughts.
Who's they?
Maddie and Henry.
Hold on, because the second Henry chapter shows that this was a manifestation before Maddie even got involved.
Yes, but then he disappeared. And they have brought him back. Maddie is now his mother, okay? So they have created him, and he is feeding off of their energy. So they are making choices directly because he needs them to make those choices.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. When you put it in that perspective, it does give me more of a thread to follow.
Okay.
In the second half. The part that I struggle with is that there is a shifting of allegiances on these characters, because at first Henry is super protective of this version of Skylar, which they refer to as a peeler, which they don't really go into detail about what that is. They just kind of it's kind of just they give you a name for it, but they don't go into like lore or if it has any established lore or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't have any clue if there's any established lore for that, but he's like created out of like jellyfish and crabs and gross stuff.
Yeah, it's like this, conglomeration of sea life, basically kind of like a humanoid collection of sea creatures,
right.
Which is, definitely a very interesting visual. I will give credit to that.
I'm not gonna lie, it reminds me of like Oogie Boogie from Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nightmare Before Christmas, yes.
You are also tired.
I've been up since 5 or so.
I know. So anyway.
So the thing is that, Maddie the entire time is watching Henry still treat this thing as if it's an actual boy. And she's going, what the fuck? What the fuck? And then as that part of the story goes along, they start to shift the opposite direction. But there's not really at least if there is an explanation as to why that is, why all of a sudden Henry has turned on his child and Maddie has become the protective one, it doesn't feel like, whatever reason is there, it doesn't feel like it was sufficient enough, because I've read this 2 times and I'm still going, why are they behaving this way now? Like,
okay.
Yeah. And it leads to this ending that is abrupt.
Yeah.
Like, super abrupt. And then there's an epilogue, which I like the idea of the epilogue, but I kind of was, you know.
I'm team, if it doesn't need an epilogue, don't give it a fucking epilogue, okay? If it needs it, if you need to just tie everything up in this nice little extra chapter, cool. Most books, and I'm sorry, most books do not need an epilogue. And for me, a fair amount of the time, I feel like the epilogue is the detriment to the book. And this is one of those where I wish I had not read the epilogue.
It's so funny because the epilogue is what almost saves it for me.
See, and then that's because we're so different.
Because everything leading up to that, where all of a sudden Maddie has she has ascended to becoming mother. She is mother. She has now become, this mindless husk version of herself who is only mother to Skylar, and the world around her doesn't matter.
Right,
to the point where she's abandoned
her actual daughter.
Yeah, she's abandoned her actual child,
mm-hmm.
which feels very strange to me because the entire rest of the book she is fighting tooth and nail to hold on to that relationship, and then once it gets to this point, she's like, all right, well, I guess I can't go back to that. And I'm just like, this...
And they're, like, living in Henry's boat, and the Skylar weird conglomeration fish thing is bringing home deer and humans to eat.
Yeah, and I just... That it was the point that I was starting to disconnect from this on a human level of going, I don't emotionally relate to this anymore. I did at first, and now I've drifted off.
Well, the thing is, and obviously I'm not the author, I don't know, but I feel like that was on purpose. I feel like that was the whole point. Yeah. That was the whole point, is she has completely lost herself.
Yeah, and I get that that's the point, but it's, if that, that is being the intention, then I'm still not really on the side of the intention. It doesn't jive with me personally.
Yeah, I mean, I get that.
Now, granted, it's a book that's mostly about motherhood specifically, not fatherhood or like just generalized parenthood.
Well, I mean, so yes and no.
So there might be a part of me that's also like, well, but it's also a male author, so I don't know. Like, there's a part of me that feels a little bit like, well, maybe part of me doesn't quite connect with this because I'm not the matriarch of the family.
I mean, that's possible, but I mean, I definitely feel like with Henry's character especially, there's a lot of, growth there that you could latch onto.
Yeah.
And especially, as he's talking about, like, all the miscarriages that they had, and, like, we've gone through that twice, you and I together. I've gone through it 3 times. Yeah. You and I together have gone through it twice.
Yeah, I get that. And I get the chapters where he is... It makes sense for him to have gotten to that delusional point for me. Because when that version of Skylar, this, homunculus version, comes into his life, he is in deep grief.
Yeah.
Because, like, the real Skylar had died of SIDS before that, and he is just fighting to hold on to that, to keep normalcy going.
Right.
Because he can't let it go. He can't let it go. He can't interface with his own grief. He can't be honest with himself. And so that new version manifests, which on the one hand also starts to spark this interesting parallel to postpartum depression.
Yeah.
Because who was his wife?
I can't remember her. Grace.
Grace. Yeah.
I think it's Grace.
Yeah, because he makes an amazing Grace joke.
Yes.
But she cannot. She recognizes that it's not their
child.
Right.
She's like, this is not my baby, and she doesn't want to touch him. And I mean, she never says that, but like, she makes it known. Like,
yeah, she doesn't engage with it, and then she, Kermit's sewer slides.
Oh my god.
And so then he's left with a whole new level of grief, which is the loss of his wife. And so I can understand his spiral.
Right.
I can't really figure out the spiral from A to Z with Maddie ultimately, because I'm just watching this unfold and go, I don't know how it's getting to this deep in.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that is perhaps a difference in the sexes, because I don't know. I followed it. I followed the whole way.
I mean, I followed it narratively, but I didn't follow it with it emotionally. Does that make sense?
I mean, I guess.
Yeah, because like I understood, like, plot point, what's happening in each moment, but I struggle with how those moments add up to the character reaching this point in their emotional, not development at this point, but their emotional the journey and the kind of destruction of it as well, I guess you could call it, because then it becomes a whole, okay, the outside world doesn't exist anymore. I am now trapped within this,
right?
And this is all I know now. Yeah, I don't know. I really was on a struggle bus with this one emotionally. The highs are really high with it.
Yeah.
But I don't. But those highs are mostly in the first half and specifically the Henry chapters. But the back half of the book is just, it doesn't work with me. Now, that being said, I like all the body horror stuff.
Yeah.
I think that stuff is really cool and creative. And I'm like, well, I gotta admit, I've never read this kind of creature stuff
it's like
before.
Borderline Lovecraftian. Like, it's something
it's Lovecraftian mixed with, like, David Cronenberg sort of level of like,
It's Cronecraftian.
Cronecraftian, nice. Better than Love Crony. I don't know. But yeah, I don't hate the book. I'm very middle of the road with it. By the end I felt kind of cold.
Okay.
So yeah, should we go to ratings here?
Yes.
Or is there anything else that you wanted to bring up?
No, I feel like we've touched on pretty much everything that is important to touch on. So yeah, let's go to a rating. So right, do you want to go first, or I feel like you usually go first, but it's also a Mother's Day episode, so should I go first?
Yeah.
So this one, I have no idea what I rated it the first time. I say I have no idea. I think I rated it the same thing I'm going to rate it now, which is 4 skulls out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a solid 4.
Okay. I'm very much a 3 out of 5 here.
Okay. That's valid.
I might seem weird with all, like, the shit talking that I did there. But, like, I do think that there's a lot of good stuff to be had here.
Yeah.
I don't think it's, I think I also had like you, I had a different expectation for what this is.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I'm still very much, like, on board with what it is, but I struggled to connect with it more than just anything beyond just the basic concept of it.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not a bad book by any stretch. And again, a lot of people do really like it, but then I have read that there are other people that did struggle with this as well.
Well, I mean, it's definitely weird. It's a weird book. It's out there, and
I like weird fiction too. Like, we talked about 2 different Stephen Graham Jones books on this podcast. Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, I'm a 3 out of 5 on this one.
Yeah.
So, sometimes it's fun to have these kind of, differences here.
No, yeah. Sometimes we agree, like, pretty much spot on, and sometimes we differ, and both times that's awesome.
Yeah. So, anyway, that is What Kind of Mother? What kind of mother? What kind of mother?
What kind of mother?
What kind of mother? What kind of mother do you think her? You be the judge, people.
I think it's time to go to bed.
Yeah, I think so.
So, with that, we will be back next week, actually, with a special.
Yeah.
And we're going to leave it at that. It's a mystery.
Yeah.
Tune in next week.
All right.
See what we got.
Next week.
All right.
So, with that in mind...
sorry, that was a loud clap for the
that'll be a surprise. The next mainline book we do, though, after this, we will finally get to Dead Silence.
Yes.
From S.A. Barnes.
Yes, we've actually. Well, yeah. That's still going to be kind of a special because it's going to be like a catch-up special. But we will be doing that one, and that's the one that I'm rereading for the 3rd time because I already did my reread, but now I've read 2 books since then. So
yeah,
trying to speed through that.
Yeah, that will be one of our 2 June releases.
Yep.
I will not tell you the other one, but anyway.
All right.
All right. Until then, we will see you in the next chapter of
Pages from the Dark Side.
This has been a production of Pages from the Dark Side. Sound and video production by Alyssa and Dylan Ludwig. Music and artwork by Aaron Shively.